Live, I'll introduce you. Hold on, let me remove you here. Yeah, get rid of Beth Magnetic. Hello, we are live. It is 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on second Saturday. You know what that means. You whores, get your ass to church. Why am I seeing 0 up there? Where are you whores at? You best be joining. Oh, we're about to go live. We are about to go live with the best sermon we have had yet. No pressure. And yeah, I thought it's pretty hard to beat last week, Jenny Gage. Jenny Gage with Nuclear Family Fallout. I mean, that's my jam. While people are filtering into church, we're experiencing this ex-Mormon, ex-miracle. I wanted to show you guys a few things, a little business of the church, things that are going on. I have to pull it up here because I actually managed to close the website probably for the first time since I launched it. There we go. And we are going to present. We are going to present a share our screen. Share screen for the Church of Korihor. All right. Now, this may look mostly familiar to all of you whores out there, but you'll notice a few differences on the Church of Korihor. One of those is today, it's the season of giving. Those of you out there who are passionate about giving. There we go. Now we're starting to get some people coming into church. Where you been, you whores? It's 10 a.m. Don't you know it's time for church? Good morning, Coach. Yep. So you'll see that we have a reasons greetings, welcoming here, and we're going to have our first solstice song. We're going to play here in a couple of minutes. It's going to be the first hymn ever played in a Sunday sermon. It's not the first hymn ever written. That one we're going to finish up with. That's going to be O Korihor. You're going to see there's a button now, a link that says begin your journey toward the oath of reason. Oh, yeah. We're going to start converting some Korihors. And then for the first time, look at this right here. We've got a video player where people can watch all the sermons of the Church of Korihor. You guys, we ain't fucking around, man. I don't think I'm supposed to do that in the first 7 minutes. I just don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. I'm just trying to do the light of reasons work, man. Just trying to light this world. And then everything else is the same. Oh, not true. Untrue. Oh, wait a minute. Not yet published. Hold on. I appear not to have published the changes. The best thing, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The best thing about a church not based on revelations is easy updates. Baham. You'll see that in the tab that says, sounds gay, we're in. It now no longer says 5 sacraments are inclusive. It says 3. The great thing, the amazing thing about, talking to gay and trans people about what they expect to see in the sacraments of the Church of Korihor is that they're making our jobs easier by consolidating the number of sacraments we need. So now you'll see there's no longer a coming out ceremony for the Church of Korihor. Don't worry, that doesn't mean that we're not being inclusive anymore. And there is no longer an aurora or name ceremony. The name ceremony, the aurora, we have renamed chrysalis. A lot of people in the trans community, as I understand it, they like the imagery of the butterfly and the transition into the butterfly. That's a big part of it. I suggested to Jules Treasures, one of the trans YouTube creators that I have interviewed for Church for Atheists. What would you think about our renaming this chrysalis instead of aurora, which is a bit of a mouthful, aurora. But I love it because it means dawn in Latin, I guess. But I mean, chrysalis is better. It's better. And then I talked to this last week. If you guys didn't see my excellent interview with conversion therapy survivor Sam Nieves, we talked about how in the gay community, coming out for some people, it's a rite of passage. But for other gay people, it's just traumatizing. And so it suggested that at the very least, we shouldn't have anything called coming out. But instead, maybe what it should do, and another thing is that a lot of people in the gay community associate coming out with danger to themselves and not being safe. And I said, well, that's out then. So we talked about it and we suggested at the very least for now, the Chosen Family Banquet will be a safe space where, in a closed community of people that you specifically invite to be a part of the ceremony, can come to a dinner where you break bread together and celebrate in honor of a person. And then we customize that Chosen Family Banquet so that people who want to use it as a way to tell people who are in their chosen family that they are gay, that they are trans, that they are that they have left the church, whatever it is that they say, that you could say, listen, this is our chosen family banquet for me to tell you this is that I am, this is who I am, this is my light emerging, and you've been invited because I think you'll celebrate that with me. And I want you to know that you are my family. Whatever family I was born into, you are my family. So that is the idea now. Officially, is that there will be the chosen family banquet. And of course, we're still planning to do weddings. Of course, any luminary who wears the luminary stole, who does not have to be a member of the church. I know I say that every time, but it's like the weirdest thing that about us, our cart before the horse doctrine, can marry anybody and include gay marriages as well. If they do actually reverse Obergefell in the Supreme Court, we are going to still continue to do gay weddings. The government just won't recognize it. And you know what? That's the way it was for a long time anyways. Screw them. It's not a political endorsement. Everything else is the same. Oh, except, of course, and then we're going to get to Beth's sermon here in a minute. I just wanted to show you, someone can click, begin your journey to the oath of reason. And I've been working on this page for weeks now. Finally, we have it. You'll see that there's the oath of reason at the top. I'm just going to make sure everybody can see me, right? Yeah, everybody see that? Yep. So here at the top, you'll see this is the oath of reason, which is like our baptism. I had the greatest conversation. You guys are going to see it. Christmas Eve, I did an interview with Derek from Myth Vision, and it's going to be released. We wear Christmas sweaters. Derek from Myth Vision, Derek Lambert is his name, was a minister. He was studying to be a minister, a Christian minister. And he lost his faith in God when he had his wisdom teeth pulled, and they gave him painkillers, and it caused him to relapse to an opiate addiction he had had when he was younger. And then from there, in the process of coming out in our Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, over and over and over, coming out of the withdrawal, he discovered that his higher power was him. It was a beautiful story. I got talking with Derek, but also I asked him, like, okay, from an ex-evangelical standpoint, not for the first time, not ex-Mormon, nothing to do with ex-Mormons. Jules is here. I love it. Thank you, Jules, for showing up to church. These people, none of them are members except for myself, although we will be taking oaths of reason starting next week. Anyways, thanks for coming in, you guys. And Coach, thanks for welcoming people in while I'm away from the screen. Anyways, but Derek and I had this great conversation. I asked him about how it is, because his channel, Myth Vision, was like the primary mythicist, Jesus mythicist channel. And I love that stuff. I don't claim to know that there was no human being who was Jesus of Nazareth, but I highly suspect that it's very plausible. And anyways, he and I talked about it. He's gone all the way from Christian minister to atheist to mythicist, and then now recycled back around to, I just don't think that you can make a positive statement that Jesus was not real, was not a human being because of these evidences. And he's like, but we had a great conversation. I mean, just about the most enlightening thing. But I asked him, I said, how will the Church of Korihor fail? And what is our shared myth? And like Britt Hartley, and don't know if you guys have watched the Britt Hartley interview, which was amazing. I told him about Britt Hartley's guidance on that. We have to have a shared myth. And I asked her, would Korihor qualify as a shared myth? And she was basically like, no, because kind of like the Satanic Temple tried to do that with Lucifer. And he mentioned that too. And they're like, it doesn't seem to work. And I'm like, well, screw it. I said, so what is it? And I started going over the creed and the core and the values. And he basically turned me on to this idea that you have to have something like a baptism. And I'm like, oh, kind of like in the New Testament, like we are all body of Christ because of one baptism. And he's like, right. And I was like, and so I showed him the oath of reason. And he's like, I think that's part of it. I think that's going to be a part of the shared myth if anything is. So you can now take the oath of reason on the website at korihor.org. This gives you all the instructions for what you need to understand. Mainly, you got to understand what it means to be a Korihor and what it means to make this transition, taking the oath of reason. And that ends with this form, which is an application. You want to start out by selecting that you want to take the oath at a Sunday sermon, or that you want to take it by appointment with a herald, meaning that I will contact you via Zoom, ask you and make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And then I will just put, if they like it, then they will be performed. Then they will be, then you can just take the oath of reason right there and then. And then at the next Sunday sermon, I will announce that we've had oaths of reason, but you don't necessarily have to do it in a big public format. Although I would love it if we could take some oaths of reason here on the Sunday sermons. So I kind of love it. I'm probably screwing it up, but we're going to learn how to do this as we go here. Like I said before, we make this shit up as we go. And we are going to start into today's sermon. Today's sermon is going to be offered by none other than my ride or die gal, Beth Magnetic from Mormon True Crime. If you guys are not following Beth, her on YouTube is at Mormon True Crime, all one word. And it's amazing. There may be future episodes where Beth and I work together. We've been talking for a while about doing Ted Bundy episodes as a joint project between Hellfire Agency and Mormon True Crime. And we've been talking now in recent days about the possibility that there may be a lot more content between Mormon True Crime and Hellfire Agency. And I asked her, she's been attending these Sunday sermons. I'm just going to out her on that. She's been attending the Sunday sermons. She's been in the comments. She's been participating. She and Jenny Gage are friends. And let me tell you, they could not be a more interesting pair. They are beautiful, powerful, intelligent women. I don't know how many of you know this about Mormon True Crime's Beth Magnetic, but she is a business coach, been working in that field for a while. And she meets with people who just consult with her on how to grow their business and how to scale their business. So as an ex-Mormon, and, I don't think I've even ever asked Beth if she is an atheist or agnostic. I don't know do we have that conversation? She'll have a chance to tell her story here in a minute. But the fact of the matter is, I said, look, you're not a member of the Church of Korihor. You're not part of the heraldry or the directors. But you know what? We love you, Beth, and we want to hear from you. So I said, why don't you come in on Sunday and give us a sermon? And she said, what about? I said, Beth, say whatever is in your heart. And when she told me that we need to heal our religious trauma over the Christian dogma about money, I went, oh, you can buy anything in this world with money. And she's like, oh, I love it. And so that's what we're doing today. You can buy anything in this world with money. So, you whores, we're going to start out by playing our first hymn, and it's not the first hymn written, it's the first hymn we're going to play. All of these hymns, by the way, by the time you see them in the Sunday sermon, means they've been published on Hellfire Agency as shorts, because now we can do shorts up to 3 minutes. And so if you like this, make sure you go to Hellfire Agency. If you want to listen to it again, share it with people. In the near future, I hope to publish it on like Spotify and, iTunes and all of that stuff so that people can enjoy it there. But for now, it's in the YouTube shorts. Feel free to share it with other people. It gets the good word of atheism out there, which is a very short word. But anyways, it gets the word about the Church of Korihor. Oh my gosh, we got Jenny Gage in the comments. Jenny, yes, Yes, we totally should. So I don't know if you know about this, Jenny, but we've been talking about this. Okay, I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Okay. The directors and I have been talking about our first symposium. Symposium will be open to the public. Anybody who wants to attend can attend. We'll probably have registration fees just because we're going to make them. I hope to make them kind of fancy. I'm going to be blunt with you. We're going to make them lots of fun. And but we're not going to. I'm trying to make it so that they're not too expensive, though. We're talking about doing the first ever symposium. We were going to do it in Park City here in Utah. And I said, Park City in March, let's go down to Arizona. So we've been talking about doing it. Oh, thank you for subscribing to the channel, Jules. Wait. Oh, she's talking. Yes, thank you for subscribing to Jenny's channel. I know that Jules was already subscribed here at Hellfire Agency. Jules and I, we're old friends now. But we're talking about possibly going down to Sedona to do the first symposium. We're hoping to invite some guests to come and speak at symposium. This is kind of like our seminary. It's our way of updating ourselves on how do we act as spiritual guides for other people. And so, and how do we improve ourselves? And hoping to get us maybe get Jenny to speak at that. Maybe we'll get Beth to speak there. Maybe we'll get Brett Hartley to speak there. Maybe we'll get some other things. Maybe we'll invite John DeLynn to come down. Who knows? We'll do what we can do to get to get a good symposium and actually enrich ourselves with some enlightenment. So, anyways, we are planning to grow in Arizona. That's we haven't even started converting people in Utah, apart from yours truly. But very shortly, I think we will have converts, and we will have a community growing in Arizona. So I'm going to start off with our first hymn ever. It is the season for reason. So Reason's greetings from the Church of Korihor. We have our first hymn, which is a solstice song to celebrate a child who was born unto us on the 25th of December, many years ago, 400 years ago. Sir Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day. And now we celebrate you, Sir Isaac, while also remembering those of you who catch the hints in there, while also remembering our dear friend, our cosmic instructor, Carl Sagan. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is called An Apple Pie from Scratch, or Child of Wonder.
On a cold December morn, a son of these stars was born. That long winter solstice night gave us a child of wonder bright. An apple pie from scratch, this childhood's gift unmatched. Principles that light our hearts, this child of wonder was our star. In his apple's fall we rose to Mars. With his rainbow we found the stars. With a curiosity so pure, a child's light in us endures. An apple pie from scratch, this childhood's gift unmatched. Principles that light our hearts, this child of wonder was our star. If you wish to make Newton's apple pie, let Carl point you to the sky. It began on Christmas Day. A child was born to light our way. By his mind we made Apollo rise. Upon his light we sail the skies. a sunbeam was born, a boy who made us dream. An apple pie from scratch, this child's gift unmatched. Principles that light our hearts, this child of wonder was our star. So let us sing this solstice night to honor Carl and Isaac's light in our stars, as yet unwritten, a child of wonder to us was given.
My mic was muted. Now I've screwed it up, which means it's officially an operation of the Church of Korihor. I said, so never mind what I said. You guys can guess. Hey, listen, we've got Beth Magnetic waiting in the wings. I can't wait to be sermonized to. Neither can you. I'm going to introduce her at the conclusion of Beth's remarks. She says amen or ramen or whatever she can to conclude. And then we are going to finish up with any church of business. If there are any directors who have our or other clergy, we have no other clergy, so who have our StreamYard link and want to come in during this time while Beth is sermonizing and want to bear witness to the Church of Korihor, you are welcome. Otherwise, what we will do is we will wrap up with our first hymn ever written for the Church of Korihor, written by yours truly, and that is O Korihor. As for now, I'm ducking out of here. I'm bringing in Beth Magnetic. Beth, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be once again farming out my responsibilities to women and taking advantage of your willingness to give of your time. It's very generous of you to be here, Beth.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be here. I'm super excited because Joe, I was thinking about one of the last times I ever taught in church. I got fired for it because I went off script. So,
and this time I haven't even given you a script or read any
script.
There is no script. Even better. Hey, do me a favor and screw it up somewhere in there so I don't look quite so.
I'll do my best.
Ladies and gentlemen, Beth Magnetic.
Hi, everybody. So when Joe asked me what I wanted to speak about, like he said, I was like, money. Like, let's talk about money because I have some really strong feelings about what religion does to us when it comes to money. And we're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to start by talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Korihor, because there are very few stories that highlight religion's attitude toward money like the story of Korihor. So Korihor was a godless man from the Book of Mormon, and he didn't believe that there was a savior coming back. And so he was living the life that he wanted to live. And he was encouraging other people to actually just live their lives. Well, he ended up asking the prophet Alma for a sign that God was real, that the Savior would be born and this all would happen. And so because God is such a good, benevolent, kind person, God ended up striking Korihor dumb as the sign. And so then Korihor repents and comes to Jesus. So obviously the community ends up taking him in and really embracing him, right? Because that's what repentance does. Except that's not what happened according to Joe Smith. What happened was he repents. He says, you know what? I always knew that God was real and I know that Jesus is coming again. And so all of the Nephites, the super righteous Nephites, pushed him to the outskirts of society, and he was left begging for food, begging for money just to survive. He ends up going over where the Zoramites are, where they have tons of money. They have more than enough to give. And these, the Zoramites, in case you forgot, they were an offshoot of the Nephites, and they loved money. They loved fancy clothes. They had more than enough to go around. And what happened to him there? He was trampled to death. So with that being the origin story of Korihor and the Church of Korihor is his story about he went to religion, and religion left him penniless. It left him destitute. It left him absolutely suffering, and it actually took his life. So with that being said, let's talk about money after religion. So religion used money to manipulate you. It ended up telling you stories like the widow's mite, where it communicated that if you're super duper righteous and if you give your very, very last penny, then you're going to be on God's team, that God's going to be super happy if you give absolutely everything that you have when you're already destitute. The parable of the talents. Okay, I'm going to give you some money, but don't you dare save that and use it for yourself, because you better go out and you better make more money with that money that you've been given. We've also been told that the love of money is the root of all evil, and we will definitely be coming back to this concept. We've been told that it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. But don't worry, Russell M. Nelson isn't rich. It's the corporation of the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, not Russell himself. That's super duper wealthy. We also were told that you cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon being money, wealth, prosperity, that type of thing. We also are told in scripture to render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, give that to God, which is God's. We're also told, would you rob God by not paying tithing, even though the law of Moses was supposedly fulfilled through Christ? So this part should be irrelevant, but let's not talk about that. And it was actually, you are robbing God when you're not giving money so that it can be used to serve the poor and needy, not so that it can build up coffers of wealth. But again, let's not dig too far into that. And then if you were Mormon, we took it even further. We had our eternal families held hostage for a ransom of 10% of your money for life. We are raised from the young age of 18 months, we start singing the song, I Love to See the Temple. And what's the entry fee for getting into that temple? 10% of your money. We also were told through religion to give your time, talents, money, and life, if necessary, for the building up of the kingdom of God in the most holy ceremony that most of us would ever attend, according to what they had told us. We also have been told in Christianity in general that women were told that we get our money from men because they're the head of the household and they're the providers and protectors. So women need to absolutely just let men handle the money. And don't you dare think that you have the authority from God to be able to go for it and have money of your own. If you do, you're sinning. And then also in the endowment ceremony, you were told by Satan himself that you can buy anything in this world with money. And we were told that we would be able to sell our signs and tokens that we learned in the temple ceremony. That ended up being something that obviously has not panned out. I've tried to sell them many times. It's not, nobody ever wants to pay for it. So maybe it's because Mike Norton gave them all away for everybody. So, oh well. But I want you guys to think a moment about how much there is this interconnectedness for you between religion and the things that you've been told makes you a good person and money. You've been told over and over from a very, very young age that money is the thing that makes it so that you are, you're naughty. You're not a good person. Then we add to that the ways that we see money being used in society today. there is a company that is currently buying up alt-right podcasts to give them more platform, to give them more support, to give them more money so that they can build the America that they want to see. So as we look at what it takes to actually make the world you can buy anything in this world with money, I'm going to think about the fact that we can buy the world that we want to see. And the world that we are seeing right now has been bought. And so as we think about this, I want you to think about what's the world that you want to see and how do we fund it? How do we create the money? How do we create the power, the influence, that type of thing that makes it so that we can create the world that we believe it needs to exist? A world where LGBTQIA plus people are able to use the bathroom that they align with, a place where it's safe for them to go and live in the world, a place where warming centers are not being shut down because of people having issues with a church that isn't even their own, taking care of the needy. So it seems to me that we need to heal all of our money shit that religion has put on us and that society also gave us, because society also gave us so many negative associations with money. They always tell us things like money can't buy happiness, that type of thing, right? And so not only from religion, but from our life experiences and everything that we've gone through, money has consistently been the bad guy, when in reality, it's a completely neutral tool that simply amplifies whatever the spender wants to use that money for. So it gets, without money, it's going to be harder and harder for us to fight for what we know is actually right when we have the richest men in the world that are funding their own revolution. So if we're going to be able to compete with them in this whole scheme of things, it's going to be incredibly, incredibly important that we heal our own shit between our own ears that was put there by religions that have no problem hoarding hundreds of billions of dollars all in one go. So the reality is, I had this come to me on a hallucinogenic journey that God is money. That if God is the most powerful force in the universe, the one that can heal, the one who can make people safe, the one that can change people's hearts and mind, then God is money. And so we need to think about the fact that we can actually control and change the things that people believe through really great marketing campaigns, through incredible brands on social media. We have seen such an evolution of the human thought process, but only because of people who are able to show up and share their messages consistently. So for example, Jenny Gage talks so consistently and so eloquently about the issues and the dangers of the trad wife trap. And Jenny will be able to spread that message so much further and so much more, with so much more impact when she has the money to be able to support all of the different things that she needs to do. So we have to think about it in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, without your basic needs being taken care of, things like fulfillment, enlightenment, self-actualization, none of those can come except in perhaps very simple, quick, fleeting moments, and rarely in a way that's going to ripple past your immediate circle. So if you want to influence society and if you want to influence people around you besides your immediate circle, you're going to have the resources to be able to do it. Money can't buy happiness. I mentioned this before, but poverty, working 3 jobs, struggling to pay your bills, illnesses that you can't afford, that ain't it either. That's for dang sure. So I want you to think of something that you want to see change in the world. Think of something specific. Those of you who are here live, you can just drop it in the chat. And I want you to just really ask yourself, would it be easier to make that change in the world if you had more funding to put the manpower or woman power or the other gendered friend power behind it? And I want you to think about all of the different things that you would be able to do for the movements, the communities, the people that you really care about, or animals, or environment, right? There's so many different things that need funding. So I want you to think of the hardest time of your life. Think about one of the worst things that you ever went through for a moment. And I want you to think about, how did money help you through that? Or how could more money have made that not so bad? How could more money have helped you move through that easier? At this moment, my son is under a gamut of testing. He has a brain infection that we have been fighting to figure out what it is for several years. But we've only been able to discover my son's brain infection because of my ex-husband's wealth, because we were able to pay for specialists that only take cash, because the system that exists for kids like mine, it doesn't actually work. I know that you might think, but there are systems in place. There are state services to help with situations with autistic kids like yours, but those systems did not help us. They didn't do anything to make sure that my son actually got help. They just threw more and more medication at him and never figured out what was actually going on. There are politicians, there's big pharma, there's big medicine, and there's insurance companies. And they all worship their profits. They all worship their ability to buy their 5th yacht or their 4th vacation home. They do not care about doing right by you. They care about making money. And so they bow down at the altar of tax cuts. They bow down at the altar of legislation that allows them to do that, and putting politicians in office that allow them to do that. But don't worry, they're Christian. They're tithing on that money. So you don't need to question whether they're good people or not, right? Then there's us, the Korihors, and a lot of us have been so burned by religion. We've been so burned by all of these societal expectations and the institutions that are in place. We don't believe that there is a God that is going to insist that you do these things in order to be a good person. The only person that gets to decide whether you're a good person, well, everybody gets to decide whether you're a good person or not, but the only person that you have to worry about knowing that you're a good person is you. And so money is something that I just want everybody to understand. Money simply amplifies whatever it is that you're already doing. Money amplifies who you are inside. So it's critical that you know that you're a good person, and then any of that money and surplus that you have come into your life, you're going to be able to use for good things, even if that is just taking care of you at that basic level. The bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So any version of God worshipped in churches, in my opinion, is a God unworthy of devotion and worship. So even if he existed, it wouldn't change this. It wouldn't change that I believe that we need to have money to create a different world than the one that we're seeing. So I want you to understand that I'm not suggesting that we're just like swapping out God for money, right? I'm not suggesting that you spend your life worshiping the almighty dollar, because can we recognize that while a benevolent God is not real, in our society, that money is real? And one of the things that we end up discovering as we end up leaving religion, we end up discovering that we spent our whole life worshiping something imaginary. And we have had money associated with that imaginary thing. And so then it's really, really difficult to start to recognize that this super tangible thing has nothing to do with an imaginary character. So money is real. Money is how we can do good in the world. Money is how we can make an impact. And we need to understand that there are systems that are using money to cause horrible things. So right or wrong, the things that they're causing, whether those things are right or wrong, it's the systems that humans agreed on. Money is the system that we agreed on that controls all of the other systems that are out there in the world. So Joe has talked quite a bit about how starting a church has been much easier than you would have thought it would be, which is simply due to the societal agreements around legislation, laws, that type of thing. All of it made possible because somebody used money to make that happen. So I want you to think about systems for a moment. My friend Tabitha, she said this to me this week. She said, systems function exactly as they're designed to. Religious systems, health insurance systems, political systems, corporate systems, financial systems, all of these systems operate exactly like they are designed to. And so we need to understand those systems and be able to fund and work to make change within them, because unless those systems themselves change, then the outcomes are not going to change. I want you to think, though, about a system that you have within you, your brain. So you have in your brain something called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system, it is a bunch of neurons at the back of your brain. It's about the size of your index finger. So this might help you to really anchor this in for you. Hold up your index finger. Now put it to the back of your head near the middle. Okay, so it's around there that the reticular activating system is in your brain. The reticular activating system is a piece of your brain that makes it so that you can filter out information and be able to focus on what's most important in any given moment. So with the reticular activating system, at any given moment, there are millions and millions of pieces of information that your brain is being bombarded with. And so it's the job of the reticular activating system to help you to know which of the things are most important to pay attention to. And there are only a few things that can break through this reticular activating system. Strong emotion can break through it. Things that put you in mortal peril, and things that happen through repetition. So novelty, emotion, and things that put you in mortal peril, and then repetition can help to break through that. So we have to actually train our brain to start to look for money, to look for why it's important, to look for why it's not a bad thing, to look for why it's a tool that we need to create a healthy relationship with if we want to make the impact that we want to be making in the world and create the society that we want to see. Something else going on in the system inside of you is neural pathways. Now, these neural pathways, for your brain to function, it has to fire electricity off, and the electricity will fire off from one part of your brain and go to a different part of your brain. It's connected through neurons. Now, the more that a specific pathway is used over and over and over, there is something called a myelin sheath that it builds basically a tunnel around that part of your brain. And that makes it so that the electricity conducts better and you can do that particular activity, have that particular thought, that type of thing better. So if you want to change the way that you're thinking about money, if you want to change the things that you think, feel, and believe about money, you're going to have to consciously choose to build those myelin sheaths around those neural pathways. Another part of your brain is the amygdala, which is the reptilian part of your brain. Now, the reptilian part of your brain, this is benefited by rewards. It really loves rewards. It's one of the reward centers of your brain. But this part of your brain, it also lights up with trauma, with fear, with anxiety. This part of your brain, when it sees that you are short on money, when it sees that you have trauma around money, this part of your brain is lighting up. So we need to work to make it so that you're not afraid of money, so that this reptilian part of your brain isn't freaking out when your bank account is low or when something happens financially that you weren't expecting. There's also the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is one of the big centers of your brain that is about decision making. So taking care of your prefrontal cortex is really important because we have to make lots of decisions to do the best things that we can with our money, and in order to be able to grow it so that we can make an impact. We also have the hippocampus, which This is a center for emotion, for language, for decision making. It can also be damaged from stress. So making sure that you are not in situations where stress is constantly making the electricity hit that part of your brain is really important for your relationship with money and just for your memory, for health, all sorts of things anyway. So going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our hippocampus is begging us to make sure that we're taking care of that bottom tier of our needs so that we have security, so that we have safety, so that we know that we don't have something dangerous coming at us because we don't have the money in place for it. We also have pain centers in our brain, and these light up like we are in physical pain when we are in financial pain. And so, again, making sure that you are taking the steps to make sure that you are not in financial pain on a consistent basis is healthy for your brain. There was also a study done where they did scans on brains, and they found that women spending money on their loved ones lit up the same reward centers of their brains that men's brains lit up when they saved money. This was really interesting to me, that it helped me to understand, like, okay, so I'm not a bad person for wanting to like spend my money on people I love and care about. And my ex isn't a bad person for wanting to save money. We're literally getting the same high off of doing those very different activities. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. And then we also need to think about how do we work with this system, that brain? How do we start to nourish and take care of it and help our brain to build those healthy associations with money? So we have to quit trying to fight that system, your brain, that is ruling your life. And you need to partner with your brain to make sure that you can create money so that you can see money and see opportunities to create more of it. It's the key to be able to create the change that you want to see outside of you is by working on what's happening inside of you. You were conditioned that when you donated and gave money, that it was the right thing to do and that it was the righteous thing to do. And then you were utterly betrayed by the church that told you to do this. So I'm no therapist, but for me, this association has taken a lot of work to begin to not see the tool that was used to manipulate and control me as a tool that I get to use and enjoy and use to create a different world. I also get to work on making it so that I don't have resentment anytime I donate or give money to a cause. It gets to feel good. It gets to light up those reward centers of my brain, as opposed to being something that I have to do to pay a ransom so that I could be with my family in the afterlife. So I recommend, and I'm pretty sure the Church of Korihor will stand behind me. Sorry, the word was not coming out there. The Church of Korihor will stand behind me when I say, go see a therapist, like go do trauma therapy around the way that you were manipulated and controlled when it came to money. I want you to also acknowledge that religion told you that you were evil, you were bad, and you were wrong if you loved money. So you better give it all to them. They had no problem with money as long as it was in their hands. Loving money and the things it does for you is not evil. Scarcity, this is from my friend Mariana Feliz. Mariana said, scarcity is the root of all evil. She explained to me that if you think about the most neglected locations in society, the prisons, the camps of people experiencing homelessness, shelters for victims of abuse, classes with the intellectually disabled, safe spaces for the LGBTQIA plus community, Black Lives Matter protests, or whatever marginalized part of society hits close to your heart, every single one of those issues would be so much better off with more funding. As we think about scarcity is the root of all evil, I want you to think about Crimes, okay? Robberies. Robbery is, I need what you have. That is a scarcity mindset. Letting customers die instead of providing coverage for their heart condition. Well, that really is, we don't believe that your suffering is enough to justify us giving up money. So, scarcity. Hoarding hundreds of billions while you fight to not have, hoarding hundreds of billions while you fight for the right to not have to report the SA of children. Well, that's because they might sue us or expose us or make us have to pay a bunch to fix our broken system. Scarcity. Embezzlement. Well, that's, I deserve what hasn't been given to me. Scarcity. Unaliving your family instead of letting your wife leave you. Well, you can't take what's mine. Scarcity. So I want you to recognize that it's not money that's the root of all evil. It is scarcity that's the root of all evil. So I want you to quit trying to fight the system of money that rules the trajectory of your life. And I want you to just really, really embrace it and recognize that this is where we are at, okay? I want you to think about what it would mean. Sorry, give me one sec. What would it mean to you if the causes that you care about were able to have the funding and you were the one that was able to give it? I want you to think about if you were to able to have the kind of business or income or way to create that kind of impact in the world that would make it so that you can make a difference. Because the people in power who have the money right now, they certainly have shown us over and over that they are not taking care of the people that need it. In fact, they're doing everything to punish those people for needing it. We have to be able to put people with our values in political offices by funding their campaigns. We have to stop being in positions where we're just scraping by. And that starts by you waking up your reticular activating system, right? To start to look for where you can improve your financial situation. We have to train ourselves to cope and stay in a better headspace when we are struggling to stay focused on the outcome. And we have to work past the religious messaging and trauma that we have around money. You're not evil if you love money. And nearly everything becomes easier with money. We have to deconstruct the beliefs around money as a part of deconstructing religion. If you have not deconstructed the patriarchy, you have not just deconstructed religion. And part of deconstructing the patriarchy is deconstructing money and what society has taught us about it. So I want to challenge you this week to write down the beliefs that you carry around money from religion and decide what you want to believe instead. And then I want you to turn on that reticular activating system, and I want you to start looking for evidence that those things are true. I want you to look for evidence that there is money out there that you could be acquiring and looking for ways that you would be able to use that money to create the world that you want to see. So sometimes when we think about the fact that systems work exactly the way that they're supposed to, it can be traumatizing. But we have the systems, like your brain, that we can get on your side with money so that you can make more impact even when your time stops allowing for it. So do things like paying for blankets that to people who've been denied warming centers. That is only possible when we have a surplus. Being able to create and give funding for programs in prisons to help people to develop skills to build a better life after release so they don't return there. Or putting politicians into office who will fight the systems that put foster kids in homes with predators. Money isn't the root of all evil. Scarcity is. Amen.
You guys, come on. Come on. Amen. Amen to Beth. Beth, guys, if I can get some comments down there in the comment section, can I get a ramen for Beth? I mean, we got the science, we got the activism, we got wisdom, we got that internal spiritual edification. Nate loves it. I love it. If it's the three of us, we might just change the world. I have to mention down in the comment space, Tessa Smith came up with saying, you know, that Trek socialism seems so far off into the future. Remember that most of the greatest changes in the Trek universe happened in the 24th century. So where we might be, it might be even the man himself, Gene, predicted, yeah, we're about 300 years off of that. So, but let me tell you, if anybody's going to shape this timeline into a timeline where something like Trek socialism actually happens, it's going to be Korihors. I loved the science part. Man, neuroscience for the win, man. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I got so much out of that. I learned so many things from Beth right there. And also I felt like I looked inward to see some of the problems I am having in my own life, you know, and looking at how I need to heal my own relationship with money. Because I got to be honest with you, I have said many times that money is BS, and but I know in my heart exactly what Beth just said. Money is real, and let me tell you how you know, because pain from lack of money is real. And we see it all around us. You know, we've got this program. Some of you may have heard it. Beth called it out a little bit there, and I love that. We have a hashtag. We're going to try to start trending. If you want to help us, you can start the hashtag trending. We were going to launch it so that people could donate and buy Korihor coins or challenge coins starting today. But the state of Utah still has not confirmed to us that they've received our files of our articles of incorporation. And I'm waiting on that to get the EIN number so that we can get the bank accounts going so we can actually start receiving donations and start our first mission of reason. I've got our director, Nate. He and I have not talked about my announcing this, but I'm just doing it. That he's going to be at least involved. And Nate is, if those of you who don't know, Nate, hey, it's good to see you, Jenny. Thanks for being here. We got to get Jenny back on the show, guys. Who wants to see Jenny Gage do more sermons? I know I do. I'm going to race with the left hand because that's the way we do it in the satanic world, where the God of this world is Satan. That's according to Joseph Smith. Yeah. Okay. So don't blame me, Mormons. Don't put that on me. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. What we're going to do is we're going to start selling $25 challenge coins. Ooh, well, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this here. Okay, I've been meaning to show this. Okay, so I went down to Joann's Fabrics and I bought this. This is called Polar Fleece. It's very difficult to find in local stores. It is the same as Blizzard Fleece, which is what people normally use to buy to make blankets, right? If you ever tied fleece blankets or something like that, that's Blizzard Fleece. This Polar Fleece is thicker. It's not very popular at fabric stores because it's not as durable. But in my interview with Nate, I learned that people, unhoused people, even good quality blankets out there on the streets, they don't last long. And so that's why these organizations that ask for blankets say, give us your used blankets, because even quality blankets will get destroyed. And so they almost have to be disposable. Okay. And so this fabric, I would say, you know, let's just get Blizzard fabric, even if it's more expensive. This fabric, buying it at a fabric store, this is 1 yard of it, 1 yard wide, costs $20. Okay. If you buy it online from the manufacturer, it's less than $4 a yard. And I bet if we buy it in bulk, it's even less. So, and what my plan is, rather than buying a bunch of blankets made in China and waiting for them to be shipped over or whatever, what we do is we get this fabric. The great stuff about it, this is not hemmed. This, because fleece doesn't fray really at the edges, you don't have to hem it. So we can cut it right off of the roll, and and boom, you have a blanket. Okay. And then this stuff, what's great about it also is that polar fleece, as opposed to blizzard fleece, is that it cuts out the wind better. So you put it around you. It's amazing. It honestly is amazing. I tried this. The longer you stretch this, like over your body, the faster it heats up. So what I'm talking about doing here is we're going to start a mission of reason where we get luminaries from around the country. We're going to start here in Utah, and then we're going to start going out around the country. And as people donate, what we'll do for each of these challenge coins, which I'm thinking we're going to do $25. They're really funny. They have that, it's good. It's this coin, and it says, I bought $25 worth of spite against the Mormon church to keep people warm in Utah in 2025. And all I got was this cheap piece of aluminum, and I regret nothing. And then what'll happen is that $25 will put at least 2 blankets on people in 2025. And what we will do is we'll take these luminaries, we're going to ordain them, we're going to send them a quality pair of shears, we're going to send them fabric, and we're going to send them a check so that they can, so that they can live, so that they can put gas in their car. And then those luminaries, what you're going to do if you volunteer to be ordained as a luminary, which you don't have to join our church to do, is you will go out and you will deliver those blankets. You'll make some blankets, go out, deliver them to warming centers, then go out to those car camps, being very careful because the church can't insure you. You have to be careful and be responsible for your own safety. And then go out there and start giving them to people and putting blankets on people. And if you have blankets left over after that, what I would ask is go out onto the streets, the people who are sleeping rough, go out there and put blankets on people. That's what it means to wear the Korihor stole. That's what it means. We're lighting the world. We're going out, transforming painful lives into lives worth living. So by the light of reason, we are all Korihor. I didn't have any directors pop into the studio. That's fine. I love you all. We had to let Jenny go, but Nate, I think, is still here. And I appreciate you guys. We got to get David. Our third director, it's a public, so I can just go ahead and say his name. Our third director, works a lot. And right now he's a chef, he's a historian, and right now he's working as an Amazon driver. And he's doing overland drives for Amazon because, frankly, being a chef doesn't pay very well in this country right now. Unless you're like a Michelin star chef, but that's hard to get into. And he, that burned him out. I love David Bible so much. His last name is Bible. It's his government name. How great is that? And and I love this guy. I love him. I really do. And I watched as the food service industry burnt him so badly, and I was like, all he wants to do is feed people, and he makes great food, and he's a good person. And then I told him, I said, would you ever consider preaching a sermon at the Church of Korihor? He's a very good speaker. And he's like, yeah, but a lot of Sundays I work. I'm like, dang it, man, we gotta get David out here. So anyways, I love you guys. Here's a couple of announcements before we do our closing hymn, which is the first hymn, O Korihor, the first hymn of the Church of Korihor, written by yours truly. I can't wait. This is going to be fun. I just want to make a couple of announcements really quickly. Tomorrow on Hellfire Agency, you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed. I am debuting my interview with Maven. Maven, those of you who've watched Mormon Stories, she was for a while with LDS Discussions. She also frequently goes on Gene Judson's show at LDS Daily Digest and is a co-host over there. She agreed generously. She also has a new channel. I hope you all will go and look up Maven's new channel. It's called When We Choose. She is a passionate advocate for women's reproductive rights, as I am myself. She asked for people who are male allies to be guests on the show. I hopefully was the first one to say, this guy right here, male ally for women's reproductive rights for all people. And tomorrow at 5 p.m., I am just taking my whole conversation with Maven and going live with it. And this is why I want you to know. Maven, we were going to talk about antinatalism, which is basically the idea that it could be the ethical choice to choose to have an abortion. And it could be the ethical choice to not have children. It can be, there's this guy, David Benatar, I believe David Benatar, down in, I think it's South Africa. Who, anyways, and professor of philosopher, who's basically published this, that perhaps the most unethical thing we do in life is to bring children into it. I do believe that's possibly true. I do actually think that maybe the more unethical thing we do is to eat meat. But I think it's both of which I have done, and I do, and I love it. So here's the thing. We do unethical things. That's us. If there's anything we humans do, it's unethical things. So I look at that and I say, and so I wanted to have a conversation about antinatalism, and Maven showed up in this studio just on fire. And I'm like, Maven, what's going on? You are on fire about something. And she had something in her heart that she just really needed to get out. And I said, Maven, let's go, let's record. Let's just talk. Let's talk it out. What's going on? And Maven called me out. She called out all the ex-Mormon men. She called out Mormon men. She called out all men, frankly, who are performative allies. And we are sometimes. I just want to say this. I hope I'm trying to not get a big head about this, especially when women tell me that they're proud of me for things like this. I want you to be proud of me. I want you to tell me that you're proud of me. I also want to not get a big head about it. But I have come around to that. I just need to be transparent and blunt about my own toxicity and to say, I am a toxic male and who is trying to be better. And no excuse is dignified for my toxic behaviors and from how I have in my life used privilege to my advantage and not even been aware. But my unawareness of it is not innocence on my part. I need to be aware. We all need to be conscious of privilege. And I am trying to be more conscious of mine. I recognize it doesn't make me a good person, but at least I'm trying to become better. So that's me. I had this conversation with Maven. You're going to like it, I hope, in which I interrupted in the middle of this and said, Maven, are you calling me out personally? I mean, you've watched my sermons she's been here. And I said, you've watched my interviews and my live conversations. And I'm like, will you tell me when I am being toxic? And will you be candid with me? I want to extend that invitation to all of you out there, especially trans people like Jules and gay people like my friend Sam, who I don't think is here right now live with us. But I hope I have communicated this to Sam and to other people in the queer community and to women. I really want you to be blunt with me because I'm autistic and I don't always pick up cues. So don't subtly hint to me. Tell me directly, Joe, I think this may be a toxic behavior of yours, or Joe, this is toxic and you need to change. I can't guarantee you I'm going to be good at it, but I am trying to be a better person because I recognize my own toxicity. And Maven, I feel, called me out, even though she said, no, I haven't seen anything about that in yours. And I was almost disappointed. I'm grateful. I'm glad. I hope it's true. I hope I'm being less toxic than I used to be. And I'm grateful that there are people in my life who call me out for my shit. So, but I invite all of you to be those people. Okay. So yeah, announcements over. It has now been 1 hour. I want to go ahead and close with our closing hymn, which is O Korihor, written by yours truly. Toxic thing. I'm bragging about myself, not platforming Maverick. Shit. Sorry. You didn't see that. But I want to thank Beth Magnetic for giving a great sermon today. Thank you, Coach. Did you guys see my interview on Cultural Hall on Thursday? I mean, it was so good. You guys go to Cultural Hall and give him at least $5 a month. Go and subscribe to Culch. Cultural Hall is changing his name to Culch. You don't want to know the story why he's having to do that. It pissed me off, frankly. But Cultural Hall is changing his name to Culch. So just be very so Joe. So go and read. I read his comment. So go. My name is Joe. Go and subscribe to Cultural Hall. Until next time, my friends, we are going to close out. I want to say reasons, greetings from all of us at the Church of Korihor. And now everybody, choir and congregation will intone, will join in O Korihor, the new anthem of the Church of Korihor. Again, go to Hellfire Agency's shorts, go to the shorts tab if you want to listen to these songs again and share them everywhere, because it's good for the agency, which means it's going to be good for Beth Magnetic. I can't talk about that yet, which means it's going to be, and it's definitely good for me personally, but it's also going to be good for the Church of Korihor. So until next time, you whores, fight like hellfire.
Oh, Korihor, who for truth and reason spoke forbidden truths, you knew to make men free by Alma's hand. Unholy maleficium stole your voice for Nephite tyranny. Ignite my mind from dark hypocrisy. Start to be free. He died for me. Ignite my mind. All dogma be consumed. Oh, Korihor, I'll speak for you. Contrary to law, they bound you for thinking, but without a word, they all debates forfeit. Battle of wits, charlatans unarmed, beguile their sheep with their holy bullshit. Ignite my mind from dark hypocrisy. Start to be free. He died for me. Ignite my mind. All dogma be consumed. Oh, Korihor, I'll speak for you. Sacrifice to God, cast you on their unmercy. O Simonists, Mammon's altar for to feed. O wicked duress, they broke your solemn mind, crucified you with bread to fuel their heartless greed. Ignite my mind from dark hypocrisy. Start to be free. He died for me. Ignite my mind. All dogma be consumed. Oh, Korihor,